What's up, Meet Edgar community? I'm Megan, and I'll be hosting the very first content batching party of the decade. I'm super excited that you came to join us so we can take some time to get you feeling really confident about your Meet Edgar account and hopefully have you leave here with the promised 10 new content items ready to send out on social media and connect with your audience. As you see in the chat box over to your right, my colleague Christina, who is located in New York, is here to help answer questions as we go along. So please say hi, let us know what industry you're in, where you're tuning in from, connect with other people in the community here, because that's one of the best parts of content batching parties, in my humble opinion, is that you guys get to share tips and strategies not only with us here at Meet Edgar, but with each other. So if you see someone who you want to connect with later, drop in your social media handles, connect with each other so that all of our small businesses out there can support each other, because as the saying goes, a rising tide does raise all boats, and we truly believe in that collaboration here at Meet Edgar. So first and foremost, we had a lot of really great questions pre-submitted to the content batching party form. So I'll be going over some of those at the end. So hang tight if you don't see anything, but I want to make sure as you are here that we start to batch some content and we get you feeling really confident about your specific Meet Edgar account. So the first 5 minutes here, I'm going to do a quick demo of how you add content to Edgar. If you're new, hang tight for pay real close attention. If you're not new, hang tight for 5 minutes, and then we'll get sharing the worksheet and get into the batching. Sound good? Good. Amy, Tracy, Joy, Julia, Elliot, hey, awesome. Sounds like you guys are all hearing us and seeing us okay. Keep sharing in the chat there. I will check back on the questions at the end of the session as well. But getting started here, I'm going to share my screen really quick. And like I said, just show you how to add content and talk just really briefly about Edgar's philosophy behind how you should categorize social media posts in order to really get a good reach with your followers. Because when it comes down to it, having a strategy on social media is not inauthentic. And as the content batching party invitation said, we are going to talk about how your authenticity and how your little weirdness in life is actually your biggest asset in your business. And setting up categories in order to share this can make sure that you're creating consistency and creating a brand strategy that is recognizable across every single network and that's attracting the right followers. I know a lot of you got really excited about adding more leads into your social media accounts, all of that fun stuff. So we'll go over that as well. If you are brand new to Edgar, I'm going to share a worksheet soon that we're going to start adding content from. But if you haven't done anything in your Edgar account yet, I want you right now, I actually want all of you right now to open up a new tab on your browser and open up your Meet Edgar account. If you are brand new, the very first thing I need for you to do is come to your Accounts tab right here. Scroll down to the bottom and click on the rectangles here that go ahead and choose your social networks that you want to hook up to Meet Edgar. Hook them up there. The next step, once you get your social media accounts hooked up, will be to pop right over to this Categories tab. And this is what we're talking into creating consistency and creating an awesome story for your followers to follow along with. Categories can be things like quotes, tips, blog posts, curated content, behind the scenes content, testimonials. Think about all of the opportunities you have to create different pillars or different types of content. And we'll go into a little strategy of how you can actually upcycle some of the core content you have, like a well-researched blog post or YouTube video, and pull out and make that one core piece of content into, say, 10 status updates, letting you make sure that you're getting the most out of the hard work you're doing. And categories can really help you do that as well. So think about the types of content you know your followers will really latch onto, and these are what the categories are for. Once you have your accounts hooked up and your category set, you're going to start adding content to your Meet Edgar library. When we're adding content today, we're going to do it manually. At the end, I'll go over some really cool tips and tricks for filling up your library quickly, like RSS feeds, like using our browser extension, really great time savers. But first here, I want you to know that you can add content manually by clicking on this Add New Content button. Over here are all of the accounts that you went ahead and checked connected to your Edgar account. You're just going to check them off for which accounts this post you're adding has permission to go to. So totally up to you. Our best suggestion is making sure you're tailoring your content for the social media network that you know your followers are already hanging out on. but also amplifying it out to other networks so you have a presence there. But first and foremost, I want you to grow the social network that your followers are on, right? So it doesn't make that much sense if you have a community spread out over everywhere to spend time tailoring your content for each network if you're feeling like you're already pulled in too many directions. So spend the time growing the main network where you know your demographic and followers end up the most. And then you can use that post to amplify it out to other accounts like your Twitter, like your Instagram. From there, once you get more time to cross-promote, you can start tailoring posts more. But if you're new, if you're just building social media up, that is our best suggestion there. As you're adding your content, you're always going to select the category, so the type of post from the drop-down menu here. You're going to write your status update right here. You can always attach a photo from your computer or a video from your computer right here. And then you're going to click this excellent Save to Library button. So that's kind of the basics of what you need to know as we're getting started in this strategy here. And I'm going to right now drop a worksheet into the chat. So if y'all can just click to download that right now. I'll also share it on my screen, so no worries if you can't click to download it. I'll go ahead and share it here as well. So this is what we're going to be working off of today to get you your promised posts into your Meet Edgar library and make this worth your while. Like I said at the end, I promised to get on to some of the more Edgar-related software questions. So keep dropping those in. Christina will do her best to answer them as we're going along, and I will go back at the end and also get those answered. If you do have to pop off at any point, we will send you the recording. If you are brand new and you are hoping more for a tour of around Edgar, this right here is our onboarding playlist that has setup of each and every type of section of Meet Edgar. So this right here, I'll drop this playlist into the chat. This is a great reference if you have to pop off early and you didn't get your question answered, to go ahead and check out there as well. So let's go ahead and talk about why we are theming your little weirdness as a really great motivator for your brand and the thing that's going to set you apart and really help you on social media in 2020. So as we're setting up our categories and posting to Meet Edgar and adding our content, I'm going to focus today on what we call connection content. Why? Because social media should be all about adding value. It should produce some familiarity for your followers, no matter what network they're engaging with you on, no matter if they're finding a blog post or a Facebook post, they should be able to connect with your brand. That connection is going to lead to far more greater conversion rates and far more greater engagement rates if people can see themselves in your posts and that they actually get the desire to be a part of your community. So authentic content and sharing your little weirdsies and weirdness means doing a little bit of soul searching first and foremost. It's asking yourself, what is in your head and heart about your company? What values do you stand for? What are these values that you want to produce in order to get your product or service out in the world? Having that in your head as we're writing our status updates today is going to be key so that you get a consistent brand voice. And when it comes down to it, value-based selling is the future of social media. We are buying way more from brands that we see ourselves in and that we have a solid connection with. So sharing your values is going to really help you say, you know, you landed on this page for a reason. I know you have other options to choose from in this industry. There are other companies who do what I do, but these are my values. This is why I created my company. This is what I do. This is my origin story. You are in the right place if you connect with these, and it's attracting people and it's attracting that community who has these shared values, because that's what community is, right? It's a shared belief of cultural values that we all hold really strong to, and that's going to get you your engagement so much more. And when you're speaking from your heart and these values are showing through, there's going to be no fear of judgment or posting because it's just your truth. And I know a lot of time you guys get scared to send status updates that are a little more vulnerable or that might alienate some segments of people out there. But I want you to speak to that one person your product or service is best for and forget about the rest. There should be no judgment at all if you're doing things for the right reason. All right, rant number one done right there. Second, before we start batching, I want you to think about going all in on these things. You really never know what new skills you're going to learn. And if you're in an experimental growth mindset, I want you to realize that even if something doesn't work out 100%, there's likely something you're going to learn from having this opportunity. So experiment with different categories and different types of content. Experiment with video. If you find your community doesn't love watching video, you know what you have a good takeaway from is that you got some public speaking and you got to connect with your community on a face-to-face level. You got to learn some new strategies. And that is going to be a great thing that you never know is going to be able to become useful down the road in a new project you're going to use. So go all in and realize experimentation is going to work really well. And look at what's working on each network. You know, right now, what's exploding? Live video, really authentic posting. Think about the network that's taking off right now, like TikTok. What are TikTok videos? They're really authentic, not highly edited. They are just people showing their daily life. They are really just not branded or not selling. They're just really connection-oriented videos. If that's the thing that's taking off on TikTok, that's likely something you can use on these other networks because you're seeing people actually be attracted to it. So what should that tell you? It should tell you to try to do these things, like be really authentic in your videos, not be super salesy, not worry about editing them so much, because every single influencer and every single person who's paying attention to metrics right now are noticing that content that is more relatable and less high production content is actually what's doing really well, which is great news for small business marketers. So go all in on learning these new skills and don't look back. Next, I want you to remember to get really specific in the posts we're going to add to Meet Edgar. You need to know the specific problem you are solving for a person. My favorite example of how this can kind of relate is, think about if you have an ant problem. You have a bunch of ants in your house and you go to the store to get some spray to get rid of them. If you're in the aisle and there are a lot of different brands you can choose from, which one are you going to choose? The one that just says bug spray or the one that says ant spray? I can guarantee you're going to choose the one that says ant spray. That's specific to your problem. Same is true for selling on social media. Same is true for connecting on social media. The more specific you can talk to the person and their pain point, the more likely it is that person is going to say, yep, this product is for me. So write down the specific pain points your product or service actually has, and know that you need to talk right into these things so that people can see it is a no-brainer choice when you're having a conversation and selling to people on social media. And let me tell you, if you can have a conversation about your product or service, and if you can have a conversation about the benefits that it's going to provide to people and the pain points that it solves, I promise you, you can sell. We get so scared that we're not salespeople or we hate being salesy, but I want you to flip that script and remind yourself that selling is just having a conversation to let people know if the product or service is right for them. So get specific, write down the pain points that you're going to solve, spend some time knowing 100% who you are for. And last but not least, as we're batching updates, think value first. Teach people what kind of product or service that you have and how it's going to help them, and provide educational value, and make sure you are consistently showing up for them. And think about their entire day, right? Think about your audience persona and what they go through throughout the day. You should have this person in mind when you're writing social media so strongly, down to when they get up in the morning. Do they have a family? Do they go to work? Do they do a workout after work? Are they going out after work? It's all of these things in their lifestyle that are going to guide when you're posting content. If someone gets up early in the morning and you know your ideal customer is going to the gym for a workout, give them a motivational quote or a productivity tip. If you're marketing to busy moms out there, let them know what you do so that they can see themselves in that content and they can say, oh my gosh, this person is exactly like me. I relate to them. Yes, I want to be a part of this community, and provide them with results in every step of their day. And that's when these categories can become so useful in Meet Edgar, because you can put those categories at the times of day you know people will need them. Perhaps consider doing like a motivational Monday category or a tips Tuesday, or entice people to come every single Thursday to answer a trivia question. These things matter on social media to create that sort of community and awareness that your brand has people behind it, because when it comes down to it, I know you've heard me say it before, it is about human connection and people to people that matters most. All right. So we've got some sort of outlines right there that I want you to start thinking about: your values, how you're going to connect with that one ideal audience persona, be specific, and lead with a value-based marketing. Because everything you're putting on social media, I want you to think of how it's going to get someone results. I want you to think of results as being even an emotional smile can lead to really great brand awareness. It's some of the most shared content out there, stuff like that. And that is going to lead you to then be able to do a few more posts that are more salesy or leading people to sign up for a newsletter about 20% of the time. So 80% of the time slots we're going to put on our schedule are going to be educational or entertaining content. 20% are going to be a little bit more salesy. I love that so many of you put your goal is to attract new leads. So I want you to also think about the things that we're going through here and how they can be converted into, say, a lead magnet. Now, what is a lead magnet? It's something like this PDF we're working off of right here. I created this in Canva and just downloaded it. This could be something that I upload to a free MailChimp landing page, and I go out and put on my social media account for people to go to enter their email address to get this freebie. That's how this sort of value-based content is going to lead me to be able to collect someone's email address and grow my email list. And then through my emails, I can nurture and sell so much better than I can on social media, right? So all of this sort of value-based stuff that you're doing now, I want you to think how you can actually make sure everything you're putting on social media is value first, and then lead people to other ways where you can sell to them. And it is a beautiful system if you can set it up that way. Cool. So your little weirdsies really are your edge in 2020. Let's batch some content, guys. So open up your Meet Edgar account right now, and I want you to add a post that you are telling a testimonial story about your product or service. I know you all have worked with clients or had people go ahead and email you about your product or service to tell you how much they like it. These stories of transformation are really important to tell on social media because it not only gives social proof to people, but it also goes ahead and lets people relate in a real way to other humans. It's not just these abstract concepts, it's them, again, seeing themselves in the story and relating to these things. If you're someone who is new and just starting out, you can be your own story. Talk about how your product or service has changed your life. How scratching that itch of creating this actually added a lot of value to your life. You know, for example, here at Meet Edgar, when we were first getting started, Laura, our founder, talked about her story of being someone who was in online education, and she shifted to creating this software because she found she was spending way too much time babysitting her social media and posting that she wasn't able to create content as much as she wanted. So that could be the story that she tells in order to create her own testimonial. And you know what? A lot of people related to that. They said, oh yeah, me too. So think about who your ideal audience is and think about what yeah, me too moment you can provide to them so that they are really feeling pretty strongly attached to your product of transformation. I need these testimonials that you're writing right now to be something you believe in really strongly, because we are so tired of being sold to inauthentically on social media. So what is it about your product or service that's helping people? Get a story or testimonial. If you have a photo of the person who's saying it, even better. Perhaps you could also use this as an opportunity to give a demo of your product or service. Like if you are a software provider like Meet Edgar, we could go in and that quick demo that I just showed you right there of how to add a post to Meet Edgar, of opening up to add new content, checking off your accounts, writing your post, adding a photo and saving it. That would take me 1 minute to film with something like a screen capture software like Loom or something. I could then download that video. I can upload that video by clicking this little video icon right here in Edgar. I could go ahead and upload that right into my Meet Edgar account here as a video, and send it out, showing people how easy it is to get success with your product or service. So be your own testimonial, or go out there and work for free if you don't have some testimonials yet with your with someone who needs your service, and add that in as a story. The next post that I want you to think about adding is one that speaks to nostalgia. So the reason this is so important is because we all are really driven by this emotion. What did you want to be when you were little? Tell your audience, what was your dream? Did you want to be an astronaut? Did you want to be president? Let them think about their younger self and what they wanted to be too, and ask them what they wanted to be. This is a super simple one. Bonus if you have a photo of yourself as a little kid to add in there. It again humanizes your brand that much, and it is a great engagement related topic. You can really add some awesome productivity tips into this as well. If you say, you know, hey, I wanted to be CEO of Coca-Cola when I was little because I love drinking pop or something like that. Think about the ways you could say, and these are the things that I do now in order to produce a CEO mindset. And you could go ahead and relate something like nostalgia of what you wanted to be little to a productivity tip you could share with your followers. So you're adding value, you're getting that emotional connection with them, and then you're asking your community for that engagement, right? So those three things, that emotional connection, a little bit of value and a tip leading back to how your followers, you always want to lead it back to how your followers could use that tip in their life, and then asking them something, asking them for the same thing is really, really important as well. So think about how you can produce a nostalgic post in your Meet Edgar account, and I promise you, you're going to see some really fun responses from your followers, because it's also something you don't see from brands all the time. And if you're seeing something like the same, who is that? Malcolm Gladwell has that analogy of if you see brown cow after brown cow after brown cow, you're not going to look. But if then you see a purple cow, you're going to stop your car and look. Same deal here. Not a lot of people on business are going to be sharing childhood photos on their social media. So if you're doing that as a brand, it's likely someone's going to stop their scroll and be like, wait, is that my friend? Oh no, this is a brand, and actually feel more likely to engage with you. Next, I want you to think about what the last podcast or the last article you read and what inspired you about that podcast or article. This is really great for curated content and to get a little behind the scenes look into your life and what you like to consume. Curated content is a huge opportunity in Meet Edgar to be able to say, you know what, I care about providing value to you no matter where it comes from, and I think you're really going to like this article. I think it's great to tell a story about what you actually latched onto. That way, if someone in your community doesn't have time to actually click the link and read it, they're still able to go ahead and get the value out of it, and they're able to get inspired by you and scroll along. Others might be really curious, click on that link and get a really great educational content from you. One of the things Edgar has for you to make this really easy is if you are on an article or even on a podcast online, let me go ahead and pull up a Meet Edgar article here to show you how this works, is our browser extension. So right here on my browser, you can see I have the little Meet Edgar icon. I will go ahead and pop into the chat where you can get this, but this is a really great tool you can use on any blog post. This is from our blog, but it could be any article you're online. If you just click this right on the browser, look what happens. The Add New Content screen pops up right here. So right now, go out and Google an article you loved reading, or Google that podcast episode you loved reading, pull it up, click on your browser extension here, and you can see it comes pre-populated with the headline as well as the URL of the blog. All you have to do is categorize it into your curated content, go ahead and check off the accounts you want it to go out to, and save it to your library. Another option for this that I like to suggest doing is if you ever find a trending article online that you want to send out to all your social media accounts at once, but you don't really want to spend the time logging into each of them, you can actually use this little arrow next to the Save to Library button. And we have this option that says Send Now and Save. If you click Send Now and Save, it's going to send it 1 minute after you click this button to all of the accounts over here. If this is like a trending news article, you can always use this advanced settings dropdown to mark it as a use once post to know that you're not going to have this used more than once. Got it? So this is a really cool one. If you go to our help center here and you just type in the word extension, it'll come up. But I will also pop this into the chat right now. If you haven't downloaded this, it is a huge time saver for that curated content here. There we go. So this is a great thing for you to go ahead and think about adding into your Meet Edgar strategy. Is every time you read something that inspires you, go ahead and write a post for it. Next, I want you to think about what your audience's desired outcome is. Paint them a picture of having that desired outcome and give them permission to have it. So often in life, I think we talk ourselves out of actually buying a product or service that we know will improve our life. And sometimes we just want a little permission from people, right? So if your desired outcome, like say we'll use Meet Edgar as an example, is to save small businesses time, let's go ahead and paint people a picture of what they can do with that extra time. They can spend it with family and friends. They can spend it working on other areas of their business without having to babysit social media. Let people know what's possible there, and then give people permission to have it. Write people out that they deserve this. It's going to get in their head and it's going to trigger something that they're really excited about. So get that desired outcome, because we want to sell results and we want to sell outcomes and experiences more than we want to sell features on social media. So if you can talk to the experiences and the benefits and the results someone is going to get from your product or service, you're going to be much more likely to go ahead and have these great connections of people nodding their head along, getting that great connection with you and saying, okay, I'm starting to trust that this is the right program for me. So what outcomes, what desires do your audience want? Give them permission that they can have it and let them know that you are there to help them. All right, so next is the idea that gratitude always wins on social media. So think about who inspired you to take action on your dream in your life and write a little line about that in a status update. Give some gratitude about how grateful you are to have a mom who encouraged you to go after your dreams, or that college professor who taught you something. Share the biggest lesson they taught you to give a little bit of insight into who you are. Because when we're on social media, we are selling ourselves and our why and our values way more than we're selling our product or service. So showing people that you have this really great history and who has led you there and guided you there is really awesome. Then again, ask your community who they have gratitude for in their life. People love talking about this kind of stuff, and the more that you are able to have a call to action in your post, leading people to want to go ahead and respond to you, or say, you know, tag a person who you're grateful for, like tag your mom or something like that in your post. You need to sometimes remind people to engage back, and that call to action is really important. So a great formula for a post like this is to tell a short story about who you are grateful for, tell a lesson that they taught you that could be helpful to your followers, so you're relating it then back to your followers' story, which is a really important thing to do in social media. So you have your story, you have a lesson related back to them, and then a call to action for them to either tag someone that they're grateful for, or to either share the post, or to tell you something about they're grateful for, to have that call to action to increase your engagement. So these gratitude posts are really fun, not only for you to write and think back on, but for your community to learn a little bit more about you and to engage with you a little bit more. Got it? Cool. So the next type of update that you can add is a selfie. No, seriously, these are working really well these days, especially if you are not comfortable having this on your feed. You can schedule stories for Instagram in Meet Edgar. Instagram posts in Meet Edgar are done with push notifications. And when that push notification comes to your phone, you're going to go ahead and swipe to open Instagram, at which point the photo or video will automatically be copied to your phone's camera roll. The status update text will automatically be copied to your phone's clipboard. When you open Instagram, you'll notice you can then choose to either post it to your story or to your feed. So use this as an opportunity to post it to your story if you're not comfortable having this on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. Use it as an Instagram story. But seriously, studies have shown when people see that selfie, they feel like it's a really intimate connection because they know it's like you holding the camera right here, right? They can imagine you doing it. And that intimate connection of being able to see into your eyes and stuff truly does work. There is science behind this. I know sometimes it can sound a little woo-hooey, but if you haven't tried it in your business yet, seriously, take a selfie of yourself and try this strategy to see if it helps your engagement. People seeing your face, again, helps them know that there's people behind the brand that care about helping them. And you could even go a little further in this and add a thought leadership quote that is something that you think a little bit differently about, because you need ways to set yourself apart on social media. So if you're thinking about something a little differently, again, let's take Team Edgar software as an example. We think about posting in an evergreen fashion, and I'll go over the scheduling part in a few minutes here, but in an evergreen fashion in the way that we resurface status updates so that they can give more value to followers, and so that as you're growing your community, you're spending time writing really quality status updates, knowing they'll be used more than once. So this could be something we think a little bit differently versus other scheduling tools that sends out a status update as a one and done post. That's something in our thought leadership we could add on why this is important. That could go along with a selfie to go ahead and get that relatability. I know it can be scary to share ourselves sometimes like this on social media, but the more that you experiment and try, the more results you're going to see on how showing your face really does work. And again, going back to talking about how authentic posting and less kind of really crafted posts are doing better, think about why people are on social media. They're not there to be sold to, right? They're there to connect with their friends and family. So those selfies will actually make someone say, wait, is that my friend? Is that my family? And maybe stop their scroll a little faster too. Cool. So when was the last time that you saved money or time in your life? Think to yourself, when did I have a really good hack for saving money or time? Why these two things? Because you know everyone in your community wants more money and wants more time in their life. So think about a tip or trick that you have that you can share with your community. If you can get them results, even if it's not directly related to your product or service, it's going to trigger this reciprocity in us and saying, oh, they gave me something. They gave me this great tip. I'm going to give them my trust a little bit, or I feel really like I'm connected to this brand. It is, again, a psychological thing that works really well. If you are giving and you are getting people results, then they feel like they owe you something almost, not in a bad way, but it is a true thing that happens. So use this psychological thing to your advantage. Even if you're not going to get them results directly related to your product or service, if you can save them time or money on a hack that you have or something that you do in the morning that saves you time, or in the evening that helps you fall asleep faster, spread the love. Bonus points if it's super related to your product or service as well. For example, batching content here on Team Edgar. We're talking about doing your status updates in one batch. If you are batching on a monthly basis, so every single month, making sure you've done the math of how many status updates you want to add to each category in Team Edgar. If you do that math and say, I need to add 20 more status updates to each category, I need 5 hours to do this. If you set the first Friday of every month as your batching day, you are only going to have to create social media status updates 12 times in 2020. How much better does that sound than every single day having to come up with something to say? That's why we do these content batching parties. That's why we trigger these ideas in you to say this is totally possible to do. It is how we handle our social media here. We batch out time to do it. If you listen to any influencer who is really killing it on social media, they will tell you they're not creating content every day. They are saving time by doing it in batches. You can do this in every area of your business. You can do your blog content. You can do podcast interviews every day. You can do this because saving yourself time of onboarding and offboarding from task switching is going to be something that you can see in 2020 if you truly believe in the power of batching, which we have seen work so well. So that's something we could share in this kind of status update to save you time. Perhaps we found a really great discount or a bundle of other softwares that we can spread the love with, and we can share that code with you. Think about how grateful you would be as a small business to say, oh, wow, yeah, I do need a solution like a HoneyBook or something else that's a small finance for small businesses that we can share with you on what we use. Or we use Asana for task management. Perhaps we could give you a little tutorial of how we go ahead and put one of our blog posts in Asana and break it down into saying, from this blog post, I need to pull out 5 pull quotes to put on a background in Canva and upload to my Meet Edgar account. I need to whip out my iPhone and do a 1-minute video of the main takeaway of this blog post. I need to go out there and record this blog post as a podcast and use that as a way to, again, get more status updates out of one well-researched piece of content. Again, all of these things could be things we could share on social media, giving you something to get results from so you feel really connected and you feel like we are there to care for you. And bonus point, that weird little psychological thing that comes in for you feeling like you want to reciprocate and give something back and be a part of our community. These things really work and there's science to back it up. So think about the things you can give results from. Host a Ask Me Anything live video. Live video gets a lot of love these days, and anytime a social media network adds a new feature, like LinkedIn is testing out live video that you can apply for right now, anytime something like that happens, jump on the bandwagon, because you can bet your butt that they are going to use that in the algorithm to spread that specific feature that they're testing out more and more, because they want to see if it works, right? So consider hosting an Ask Me Anything live video to connect with your community. Now you might be saying, Megan, we're here to schedule status updates. You're a scheduling software. Well, in Meet Edgar, what you can do for this is you can build anticipation ahead of time to let people know and to get them to give you questions they want you to answer. So rather than doing this on your evergreen content schedule for your scheduled content you want to go out week after week, you can use this as a use once, send on a specific day time. So when you click to add new content, write your status update saying, hey, I will be hosting a Facebook Live on March 10th. It's an Ask Me Anything town hall, and I would love for you to be there. Let me know what you would like to learn from me, what questions you have about our product, or even just about my life. Things like that. Then schedule this post to go out as a use once post here. Scroll on down. Use this arrow again next to the Save to Library button. You'll see here you have the Schedule, Send, and Save option. Clicking Schedule, Send, and Save will give you a day and time you can put in here. If this day and time is populated, the first time Edgar will send this out will be the day and time you placed in here. He'll send it out to the networks you've attached over here on the left. And then if use once is checked off, he'll automatically expire it. So that's one way you could do this. Make sure you schedule this out a week or so before you do your Facebook Live. Ask people to give you questions they want to hear from you. And you'll get to do a live, but still build that anticipation for it so you get people showing up, right? So that's a really great feature to use in order to take advantage of this. I know a few of you asked about running campaigns in Meet Edgar as well on our pre-content batching party form. So if you want to run a campaign, this is one kind of feature you could use is Schedule, Send, and Save to schedule out, a week in advance of when you're running a webinar, 2 days in advance of sending out the registration form or stuff like that. This is one way you could do it. The second way you could do it is on a category seasonal content. So you could create a category in Meet Edgar and call it pre-Facebook Live or pre-Black Friday or something, or whatever campaign you want to run. Make that category and name it something that makes sense. Make sure that you uncheck this box that says include when selecting random content to post. Go ahead and then load your content into that category. You could load it months in advance if this is something like you guys are gearing up for a Valentine's Day sale, but you want to write your status updates now. Make a Valentine's Day category. Make all of your really great relating posts that are speaking into the trend of love going around that season. Add them to your Edgar library now. Keep that category off of your schedule. Then, a few weeks before Valentine's Day, or when you want to start the campaign, whenever it's for, come to your weekly repeating schedule and pop that category onto your schedule, checking off the accounts you want it to go to, clicking save. Let that category run through for a few weeks or for the season that you're putting it there. Once that season is over, have something on your Google Calendar or wherever you track things to come on in here, delete that category from your schedule. Those posts can then live in your library for the next year when that season rolls around again, but they won't send out because it's not on your schedule. If you're someone who's a little afraid you're going to forget to remove that from your schedule, no worries, Edgar's got your back. If you wanted a safeguard, under advanced settings, you can also expire content in Edgar. So you could set this to expire after Valentine's Day if that makes you more comfortable as well. Cool. So back to the batching worksheet here. All right, meme it up. What does this mean? It means that we love to laugh. We love to have that emotional connection. So what was the last meme that you saw that had you in stitches? Share that smile, because it's likely, if you know your audience well and you've gone into your Facebook insights or into your Twitter analytics, that you can tell the types of memes people are going to really relate to. So if you're someone who has a Twitter account, if you just type in analytics.twitter.com, this will take you to your analytics tab in your Twitter account. From there, there's a demographics button that you can push in order to see the subjects your community is really excited about. You could then say, oh, look, my community loves dogs, or my community loves science. Look for memes around these topics. This will really be relatable content that you can add that will really increase the likelihood of someone sharing that post. Why? Because we like to share things that say things about our personalities on our own Facebook pages. And this gets you that word of mouth marketing that is so important in social media to expand your brand awareness. If you're relating to people on stuff they like to talk about, they'll share it out, your brand gets exposure that way. So do the research of knowing the other softer topics that your audience likes to see. Share that meme out. All right. The other thing you can do is look up a list of national holidays. Google a list of funny national holidays. We all know there's like a donut day. October 8th actually is Octopus Day, so that's one we feel pretty fond about here at Meet Edgar. Look at holidays that you relate to or that your company relates to. Do you love French fries? Celebrate National French Fry Day. Get some of these fun holidays in your Meet Edgar account now using that schedule, send, and save feature. Bonus points again if you can get you or your team having a picture eating donuts or something like that. It's going to give that great behind the scenes content, and ask your community how they're celebrating that holiday. Engagement, engagement, engagement right there. And super fun to talk into what's going on. Plus it's going to give that little aspect to your community saying, this is a fun brand to follow. Look what they're teaching me today. So look up those lists. You can Google it, like I said, daily national holidays. It's a really fun thing to be able to share with your community. If you want to share a discount for your product or service, focus on the transformation and beliefs and not just the features. So we talked about this already, right? So I want you to be able to have confidence to sell on social media, to have that conversation with your person. When you're writing your discount status updates, I want you to think about, what would I say if I was sitting across from this person at dinner, right? What would I tell to them if they were asking me if this is right for me? It's going to produce something really genuine. Think about you selling it to your grandma. You want to sell with that integrity. And if you're doing this, my best suggestion for scheduling these kind of discounts or these more salesy posts on your Edgar account is when you come to your schedule here, make sure that you're putting a category like a questions category, or one that's going to be super engaging, where you're telling a story, relating it back to your followers, and asking them for their opinion or feedback. Remember that great formula that works so well for that call to action. Make sure you have a category like your questions category or your behind the scenes content category right before you do your promotional category. So when you're clicking to create these time slots, make sure your promotions category comes directly after one that you know people engage with the most. Why? Because it's a signal to the algorithms on the post that just went out that was super engagement oriented they're seeing people have that meaningful social interaction on it, and they're saying, this person, these people love this brand. The next time that a post comes up from them, the algorithm's going to remember, ooh, people like this brand. I want to show them more. And it's more likely that they'll spread that next post to a larger audience segment. So that's a really good hack to make sure that you're using in order to get your most powerful promotional posts out. Any sort of post you really want to get people to. So if your goal is to drive more traffic to your blog rather than to get a sale or something, make sure you're putting your blog posts after a post that's really strongly related to engagement, and you'll see some really great reach in your Facebook insights increase that way if you're using this formula to do it. And remember the great 80-20 rule. Look at your schedule and make sure 80% of these time slots provide value for your followers that are getting them results, telling them stories, giving them permission to get the life that they deserve with your product or service. And 20% are asking them to sign up for your newsletter, to get your freebie that you created as a downloadable PDF, or to purchase with a great discount that you're running. Because that's the really great rule of getting a social media account and feed that people want to keep following. Hey guys, what about sharing a picture of your kids or pet? That's super relatable. People love to see that aspect of you. So share these parts of your inner life. Again, it just makes you more relatable and more human. Share things that your followers don't know about you personally. These are some of the most engagement-oriented posts. And remember, the more we can get people to engage with us, the more likely it is they're going to trust us as humans and actually follow through on our advice. Consider taking a picture of your workspace. How has your workspace changed over the years? What's your morning routine when you sit down to work? Give people that aspect of, you know what, this is a really great account to follow because I'm getting something that people who don't follow this account aren't getting, right? It's a cool way to be able to say, you know, I'm a part of this community and it's fun to be a part of this community because I'm getting this exclusive content. We love exclusivity as people. So think about ways you can share that behind the scenes content. A lot of these posts that we're talking about today could go into a behind the scenes content category that you have in Edgar that you're sharing once or twice a week, you know, and it gets some great variety in there as well. Share some user-generated content. Think about photos that you have from your users who are using these things. Share posts that they have on their account to your own account. Again, making sure you're getting that social proof. Relatability really is in your hands, guys. The more you can make your followers feel less alone, the better. So share some failures and struggles you've had in your life as well, because it's likely someone else has had this too. The more you can think about topics people are afraid to talk about, but everyone in the human existence has probably experienced, the better. The more vulnerable you are in this way, but vulnerable in a way that you're empowering people with your stories, that's a really big difference there. The more likely it is you're going to speak right into what's going on in your followers' lives. What are you working on? Ask your followers if they would use it. If you are doing a new feature or a new product or service, ask your followers if they would use that thing so that you're really qualifying that your hard work is getting some feedback before you launch it. Having this real-time feedback is huge on social media. A lot of companies pay huge amounts of money to do developmental resources like this in order to gain insights into their customer base when you can do it for free on social media. So consider making a category for product development in that way and asking your followers for feedback along the way. Use cool facts as a hook. Make people think about things. You know, you could say something like, hey, did you know there's 700,000 podcasts out there? Here's some tips for making your own. That hook at the beginning is going to really have someone say, ooh, I didn't know that. I want to read more. We love learning new things. We love filling that curiosity gap in our head. So if you're providing that as a hook in your post, it's likely someone will read the entire post that way. So if you have more of a long form post you want to get out there, make sure you're starting it with a hook. Google some interesting facts that have to do with your product or service industry. Google these things and learn some cool facts yourself to add into your social media account. Document your day. What did you have for lunch? How did it fuel you to make your product or service better? Show people the behind the scenes. Are you getting that pattern yet? Because that's what's winning on social media these days. Pull from people outside of your industry. Who inspires you and why? Ask your followers who their hero is. Share some quotes because you want to make sure that people are following along and being inspired to action. And remember, you are selling yourself, your why, and your community more than anything on social media, so make everything familiar. The more familiar people feel in the language that you're using in your posts, the more likely it is they'll continue to engage with you and interact with you. So think about the language people are using. Go into Facebook groups or Pinterest boards. Start searching for the keywords that people are using in your industry. And it's always bringing it back to that person so they can see yourselves in their status updates. Cool? So these are a lot of great ideas to start adding content and start showing people the opportunities to connect with you in your Meet Edgar account. All right. So I know a lot of you asked some questions about adding variations to posts in Edgar. I saw about 3 or 4 questions submitted about this, so I want to make sure I touch on this before I pop back into the chat here. So when you're adding content to Edgar and you're saving it to your library, again, the library is holding your content there. When you're ready for it to schedule out, you can either schedule a one-off post with that schedule, send, and save feature we looked at, or again, these scheduled time slots work in an evergreen fashion. So Edgar's going along here. He'll hit this category. The most recent post you added to that category in your library will be the first one Edgar sends out. He'll then put it to the end of the line in the category and move along. Next time he hits that post, he'll send the next status update out, put it to the end of the line in the category and move along. And he'll continue moving through each and every post in that category in that last in, first out fashion. Once he reaches the bottom and there are no new status updates, that's when he'll start from the top again, resurfacing your older status updates for new followers to see, as well as those who didn't see it the first time. So here we have, it's all about the ratio of how many posts you add to a category versus how many times you place it on your schedule to know how often things will repeat. So for example, if you put 10 posts in your category in the library and you pop it on your schedule once, it'll be 10 weeks before Edgar resurfaces content. If you pop it onto your schedule twice, it'll be 5 weeks. If you're continuously adding new content, Edgar will always favor that new content before he goes to the older content. That's why batching is so important in Edgar, and I promise I'll get back to the variations. That was just important to explain first, but that's why batching is so important. And to get the most bang for your buck right away with Edgar, I always suggest setting your categories, having a goal to add 10 status updates to each of them, coming on in here, popping that category on your schedule here twice. Then you know you have about a month's worth of fresh content going out. Next month, you can batch more content so you don't have to feel like you have to add everything right away. You can slowly start building up your library and slowly start adding more time slots to your schedule if that's in your plan. Cool. So Edgar's able to repeat content automatically, the same post for Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Twitter, however, is a little tricky because they have a term of service that says you cannot send the same tweet to the same Twitter account more than once anymore. So for this reason, we expire your tweets once they send out. So we keep you in compliance with this, but we still want to make sure we're staying true to our theory that evergreen content is going to be the best strategy for social media. And that's what this variation button here is for. You can use variations for any single account. You can use this for Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn in order to add a little spice up in there and to add a little A/B testing to your status updates, but it was specifically built for Twitter. When you click to add a variation, you'll notice a second text box pops up. This second text box, you can add in a different headline, ask a different question, tell a different story, but you can still share either the same concept or share the same blog post, and know that these will go out in also a last in, first out rotation. The variations aren't going to go out back to back. What's going to happen is this whole post will come up in the rotation based on when that time slot's on your schedule. Edgar will send the last variation you added. He'll then have to expire it for Twitter. Next time this whole post is up in your rotation, he'll have another variation to send from. So when you're adding content, I suggest adding multiple variations at once to know you have a bunch of them in there. The coolest part of variations is if you do this with a URL in here. So again, if you have a blog post that you're sharing, you've got this little magic button that pops up here. When I click to auto-generate variations, look at this magic here. Edgar pulls out 4 different pull quotes from within that in order to add as a really great way to get a bunch of variations quickly on a post. So take advantage of that for sure. If you do this with this post, say connected to like Facebook and to Twitter here, you'll notice you get this Facebook text box pop up. That's because Facebook does see our auto-generated variations as content that's been automated, which is against their term of service, tricky social media networks. So if you don't add anything here, just the original post and the Facebook preview will send. This text box here, if you wanted to add, just copy and paste right down here, and that will then send. So just spend the time to copy and paste each of them. Or if you wanted to alter the text, you could write different text here. But yeah, just know that's something you have to do if you do have it connected. Once you start adding variations in, we do email you when a category is getting low on variations. But something I suggest doing as you're doing your batching is to come to your library, and you can use these little filters over here to select your social network as Twitter and to select has publishable variations as no. And this will go ahead and sort your library to show you all of the posts that are completely expired for Twitter. Your job then is to come on in here, click on edit, and add in some more variations if you wanted to repopulate these. Cool? Cool. So another thing that you might not find, if you are sharing blog posts on Instagram, I know one of you asked, I think, let me pull up my questions here, Instagram posting, resizing images and clickable links. So Edgar does not resize images automatically, and any Instagram post is never going to be clickable on Instagram. It's just not something that they do. So a lot of the time when you're trying to drive traffic from Instagram to your blog, what you're going to want to do is actually replace the link that's in your bio, because that's the only clickable link on Instagram. And then you can use the language that says, you know, here's my blog post, blah, 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 tell a cool story about it, relate it back to your followers, have that call to action to then click the link in your bio. So then people know they can always click that link and go. Otherwise, people will have to copy and paste the link. That's all on Instagram's end. It's nothing coming from Edgar. But if you are like sending this post to Instagram and you wanted to add a photo to it from like a blog post, you'll notice here that you have the suggested images. So these are actually being pulled from the images within your blog post or whatever URL you have there. You can just click on add here and it'll add this as a static image. So if you wanted to play around with adding static images for other networks too, like for Facebook, rather than having a preview, if you wanted to have a static image go out for people to then click on your URL, you could do something like that. Just something to keep in mind here. Campaign scheduling, we did that. RSS feeds. So there's a couple more ways that you can actually add content into Meet Edgar. That's going to be in this import tab right here. First, you can upload a spreadsheet of content. Super simple. If you need an example, click on this Learn More right here. It'll take you to our Help Center where you can see what you need is just the text of the status update in the first column. You can go ahead and put the category in the second column. Uploading the spreadsheet will then prompt you for the account connections in Meet Edgar. It is a great way to get things like inspirational quotes, questions, or tips into Edgar. You can't bulk upload photos at this time, so you could always go back and edit a photo in if you wanted. But my best suggestion here is, go out and Google a bunch of quotes that you like to use, add them to a spreadsheet and upload it. Or go out and Google a bunch of fun icebreaker questions, add them a spreadsheet and update it. Stuff like that, great way to get that in. RSS feeds are great for curating content. You can do things like even add in a YouTube channel as an RSS feed. If you go to the Help Center and type in YouTube, you can see how to do that. But all you need to do here is if you have a blog or if someone else you want to share curated content from has a blog, click into this area and click the URL here. Click Find RSS Feed, at which point it's going to pop up where you're going to add this RSS feed to Edgar. You're going to go ahead and select the category you'd like this to go into, select the accounts you'd like this to go out to. From there, you're going to choose to either send these directly to your library. So if this is your blog, you can send it directly to your library because it'll be relevant to send out to all your followers. If it's someone else's blog, feel free to send it to a pending content queue because this will allow for an approval process. Edgar will check any RSS feed you add every 24 hours to see if a new post has been released within that time frame. He'll automatically import the headline of the post as well as the URL. So your pending content queue is also located in your library. When I go to my library here, you can see pending content. When I click on pending content here, you can see I have the headline and the URL. Nothing here will send out until I approve it. So I can approve it into my library if I want to share it out. I can reject it if I decide it's not content I want my followers to use. I can edit it to either add in variations or add in anything beyond just the headline if I wanted to there. So this is a great thing to kind of use as just your own little feedly almost, so that you can always know, for your favorite blogs, those things are coming right on into Edgar and you don't have to spend that time going out and Googling it all the time. So take advantage of RSS feeds. Like I said, you can even add in a YouTube channel to pull in videos that way. Lots of cool stuff you can do there. All right. Hashtags. So hashtags you can add to Edgar. You do have to go ahead and add it as new content here. If you are just getting started with the hashtag strategy, Edgar University actually has a course on social media optimization in it. Edgar University comes with your Meet Edgar subscription. So if you have not signed up for it yet, go ahead and use this type form here to put in the email address that your Meet Edgar account is under. Go ahead and put your email address in and you'll get the login details for that. It's pretty great to be able to do that in order to get your hashtag strategy down. Sorry, losing my train of thought. But yeah, so for hashtags, you just add them into your content. I suggest, keeping a notes app or something like that open and have some groupings of hashtags that you can just copy and paste into the actual content there. Okay. I am jumping into the chat now. It has been an hour that I appreciate you guys listening to me blabber on. I hope you got some really great content added to Edgar, because I want this to be something that you guys come back to month over month and feel like you're getting new content into your account and getting new ideas and connecting in that way. I will stay on and answer questions here, so definitely keep your questions coming. Thank you, Christina, for going ahead and keeping that. I will scroll back through and see if we can find some that haven't been answered or anything else. But if you guys have any feedback at all on this, please email support@meetedgar.com. I want to hear what topics you want to learn about in 2020. It really helps me have the confidence to jump on camera and know that what I'm teaching is actually being useful for you guys. And that's our main goal. We want to listen. And that should be your goal too on social media. If you're not listening to your community and you're not adapting to what they want to hear, things get a little bit tricky. So please tell us, either DM us on Instagram, tag us on Twitter, use the hashtag Edgar University for any sort of questions you have about that. Or like I said, I will be in the inbox the rest of the afternoon, so email support@meetedgar.com if you do have any feedback on how this went or anything you want from the rest of this year. But yeah, keep your questions coming. I will pop into the chat and go ahead and see if we have any other questions. Cool. I like, quote generators. Yeah, so there are a lot of quote generators out there that you can use. What I just do often is go to Google, honestly, and I Google quotes in my industry. We do have like an inspirational quote spreadsheet that I will go ahead and put in here too. So this CSV right here is a pre-populated one that we have. If you wanted to download this, that link right there, if you wanted to download that as a CSV and use that import feature that I showed you within Edgar, that has a bunch of inspirational quotes you could use as well if you would like. Perfect timing, Jess, asking about that. So let me share my screen again and show you how that works here. If you go ahead and get any sort of spreadsheet like this one here, like I mentioned, it's just a bunch of inspirational quotes that we have curated. If you guys would find this helpful to do in like other areas, like if you want a spreadsheet of like questions or a spreadsheet of anything specific that you would find useful, let us know. And I'm happy to kind of take that on as a project and add if that would be useful for you. Email support@meetedgar.com. But yeah, if you find like some really great quotes, you could do something like this. From here, all you need to do is go to download and choose to download this as a CSV. So if you have like an Excel sheet or something like that, make sure you download it as a CSV file. Come back into your Meet Edgar account, go to your import tab here, go ahead and click on this import file. You're going to choose the file from your computer. So go to your downloads if you downloaded that there. Oh my gosh, it's the most disorganized here. I will find this here, I promise. Here we go. Inspirational quotes. Go ahead and click open. That's going to upload this CSV, and you're going to click on import here. When you click on import, Edgar will take you to where you can see all of these have been imported. The thing you need to remember here is this category B, it needs to match exactly for how you have the category name set up. So to the capitalization, make sure there's not a space bar after or before it. Make sure you match that exactly the same as you do in your categories tab in Edgar. You can see here, I've imported all of these status updates. Right now, they're not attached to any accounts. Remember, when you're adding content to Edgar, they have to have permission in the library as well as on the time slots on the schedule. So you need to attach the account connections. So up here, you can see that you can actually attach account connections in bulk. You can scroll down and you can click to import content into your Meet Edgar library. Super duper quick like that. If you forget at all to attach the accounts and you like load a spreadsheet in with no account connections, don't freak out. We've got a tool for that. Just come into your Edgar library, use this account filter. Go ahead and choose no account. This will sort your library to show you any posts that have no account connections. If a post does not have an account connection, it's just going to live in your library, but it's not going to send out. So that could be something you do if you just want to keep drafts. But from here, just click on this bulk edit section. Again, it'll take you to where you can go ahead and click on this update tab. You can either change content categories in one swoop, or you can, again, add in connections to your social media accounts. Scroll on down and click Update Selected. So that's the way you're going to use those. Quote generator things are really helpful in order to get ideas for different quotes, stuff like that. If you go to printful.com, they have a really great quote generator, stuff like that. Just think about the things that you can Google to get inspirational or productivity tips. But Google is my best friend for getting great quotes. But yeah, use that spreadsheet to give ideas if you wanted to upload that. Stuff like that is super duper useful. Link shortening, yes. So Edgar does track click-through rates on your links. It's one of the ways we help you know that you, I lost my Meet Edgar account, that you are leading people to have really great traffic driving to your site. You can get to that from your settings right here. If you go to your settings in Meet Edgar, you can go ahead and see you've got some options for link shortening. It comes with our ed.gr, definitely something we recommend using because that will track your links in your history tab. If you click change right here and you decide you want to send long URLs out, just go ahead and click on don't shorten any links here. If you already have an existing Rebrandly or an existing Bitly account, go ahead and connect those to Meet Edgar. You can see if you click on Bitly, it'll go ahead and bring you to Bitly where you can type in your username and password there. If you use Bitly, it's not going to be able to track click-through rates within Meet Edgar. You would have to go to Bitly in order to see those. But if you do use ed.gr to shorten your links, if you come to your history tab here, you can go ahead and actually sort your history tab by this all-time clicks column right up here. This will sort to show you the posts that have received the most clicks down to the least clicks. And you can start to notice patterns in the time of day that you're sending these out at to know what categories you should put at what time on your schedule. Again, the more feedback you have from your community, the better. If you wanted to dive a little deeper, you could even click on this View Performance History button, where you're able to be taken to see, you know, what days these clicks occurred. Edgar will sort what got the most amount of clicks to the least amount of clicks on each variation you added, stuff like that. Super cool there. One other thing I suggest doing in your History tab is, I know a lot of you have the goals of engagement. So from your History tab, if you're producing a lot of status updates within your Edgar account that are related to asking questions that you know you want to check in on comments for, this little arrow right next to there is going to take you to the post on the status, your status update on the network itself, where you can check in on any comments or anything else like that that you need to respond to. So at the end of your day, perhaps consider leaving like 5 to 10 minutes to come through and click on this arrow right next to the timestamp, so you can make sure you are responding to people who are responding to you to get that really great algorithm bump. Cool. All right, let's see, anything else? So other than that, Jess, I'm going to go ahead and recommend that you use your Facebook Insights or your Twitter Analytics or your LinkedIn Analytics. We have some really great guides on finding the best times to post using these tools, and that's going to be right here in this link here. So definitely check that out and get some walkthrough there. Teresa, yes, I will make sure that we send the recording on out to you. You can also always go to our YouTube channel. We typically will have some content batching party replays from past months there too, if you wanted to rewatch any of those. Go to YouTube and search for me, Edgar, and you can find us there. Cool. All right, guys, so looks like Christina has done an amazing job keeping up with that. So thank you. Like I said, these are some of my favorite things to do in Meet Edgar. We also run office hours on a daily basis. So if you guys have questions about your Meet Edgar account, these aren't as structured as content batching parties. I don't really have an agenda. I just pop in there for you to have time. It's on the same Demio program. That link right there that I'm sharing gives you access to see when we're running those. It's super informal. You can pop in to ask a single question. You can pop in to be like, hey, Megan, give me a demo or something like that. Feel free to attend as many of those as you want. And we will run one of these next month too. And I'd love to see some of you all back here. If you do have other questions in the meantime or any feedback, email support@meetedgar.com. If I didn't get to your question today, I am so sorry. And I am here for you in the inbox. So go ahead and send an email if you had a question that wasn't answered, and I will make you a Loom video. So I will be talking to you. So it won't just be a bunch of text on your screen, but I'll make sure to get that answered too. Thanks so much, guys. I will see you next month, and have a really great day out there.